Welcome to Oldsmob 455. We're working on the Javelin again, and if you've been keeping up, we redid the whole leaf springs and everything, and while we have them out, this is a real hard situation to get into because the leaf spring's in the way. So while you got it out, this would be the time to clean it all up. And it's a mixture of galvanized metal, regular metal, undercoating, and it's tedious, but you get in there and try to get all them cracks cleaned up. And then while he was at it, you can see where he's reinforced it with some more welds to hold this box. This is like a torque section here when this power from the leaf springs goes into this area. You know, a lot of times wants to lift the floor pan right up inside a car. So this is going to be all kept clean, you know, and painted. And there was a little bit of dirt in here. We opened up this channel. You want to blow out drain holes and stuff and get this all covered in paint so you don't have to worry about rusting out.
So we just added a weld and spring pocket here in a couple spots. Hole back there, up there. Trying to stiffen it up.
From undercoating, they can get clogged up too. Sometimes you can open this up. Like after you wash your car, you can take an air hose and blow them out. Because a lot of times in different areas of the country, there's a lot of sand. And if sand stays down here in the crack and it's wet, well, what do you think wet is going to do to metal? So you want to get it dried out. A lot of these cars, they don't get used every day. So if you don't even, a lot of people don't even wash their car. They just got this stuff that they detail, you know, they spray it. Usually you got a car cover over them. So after you get it all cleaned out, we're going to use metal etch primer and then we'll paint it black. Now we're going to go to the other side and you'll see how the car is solid, but you need to address this before it gets away from you. You can see, you know, the galvanized metal turns white and stuff. Well, you just scuff that down. We'll show it to you after we're all finished. It's scrapers at first, getting undercoating off, and getting it clean enough where he can do his welding where he wants to stiffen it up. And then, you know, we'll go out here. At a later date, this is going to be all stripped clean, and the car is going to be painted underneath.
Just trying to preserve it until it gets its rotisserie restoration. We went ahead and banded the leaf springs, front and back. I was really hemming and hawing about welding these axle tubes, and I've decided I'm just going to put a couple of witness marks on the housing and the tube, and not weld it. That way if it rotates, I can just get it back to where it was, and then weld it at that point.
We've got this whole area cleaned out on the other side, and just to give you an idea of how your car can accumulate weight from undercoating, and you'll see race car drivers, they'll take all this off. This undercoating is less than a quarter-inch thick. But you start adding that up over the whole surface of the whole car, you're putting some weight on it. We just cleaned out an area, you know, this big. I bet you we got a pound off. If you have undercoating that's old and it cracks and water gets underneath the crack, there can be rusting going on that you don't even know is happening. You know, you got this false sense of security. I got my car undercoated, but it's rusting between the undercoating and the body of the car. We got that all cleaned out. Like I said, it's not going to be ridden in the rain anymore. We're going to paint it. You got to realize there's a bunch of guys that are back in '68 were using big spot welders, and they're, you know, just working on an assembly line. There's some of these that aren't even really attached. So he's going to be putting welds in here to strengthen this pocket up because it's going to take a lot of force. So you'll see where this area had cracks and I started pulling it off. And as we're pulling this off, the sand and grit, well, you can see the pile over there. So yeah, there is more stuff than what was right here because I pulled this out.
The leaf springs are back in the car now. We got the rear end bolted in. Got the U-bolts torqued to spec. Those will be retorqued after we set it on its own weight, and then again after we drive it around some. And we got the new axles in. Here's the original axle. It's a 2-piece. It had a taper roller bearing pressed on it. And here's the 1-piece Moser axle. And they gave us a sealed bearing to run with this Moser axle. Separately, I had to get the inside seal. Moser did, however, provide the outside seal. This bearing will be between these two seals and is not going to be immersed in gear oil. After this bearing is pressed on up to this point, they gave me a retaining collar to press on after it. I think it's a little bit tighter of a press. The axle didn't come with any instructions. Here's some generic instructions on the internet. This setup didn't come with a spacing ring. I don't think it really needs it. So they want me to put the outer protective guard on, the outer seal, the backing plate, and then press the bearing on. Here's that guard, seal, and backing plate. The bearing's bigger than all those, so all those have to be on first. When the bearing gets pushed in the axle, there's like a raised lip here. It's gonna be like a partial press. I'll put some green Loctite on the outer edge of this as well. I don't want the bearing spinning in there. Before it's pressed in, the inner seal will go here. So I really don't like this setup. Having this backing plate being part of the axle assembly like that. So every time you want to take the axle out, you got to deal with bleeding your brakes and taking the brakes apart. And that's just a big headache. So I mocked up the brakes here to see how much clearance I had. And I have a plan. I cannot recommend anyone else do this. But I'm going to open up the hole on this backing plate so the bearing passes through. The way it was, the backing plate would actually stop the bearing and axle from coming out of the housing. And then whatever material I take out here to do that, I'm going to cut a little ring on my lathe and add it to the outer seal to keep the same spacing. The outer seal goes on this direction, and the back of this looks like this. The bearing will be facing this direction so it won't hit that lip. To further reinforce it, I'm going to make another plate with this dimension and a hole to fit this. That will go on the outside of this. That's why I've mocked all this up to see if there's clearance in here. And it looks like there is. It'll probably be about an 1/8 inch thick plate. I was kind of worried about this bar for the parking brake. But as it gets actuated, it looks like a pretty lateral movement. So I think it'll be okay. This steel here doesn't have the 5th hole drilled in it. I believe it's actually acting as a drain. If anything were to get in there, like gear loop for instance, it could drain out the bottom here. Probably tough to see, but right out this hole. So in the end, after the bearing is pressed up to this point, I'll have this protective plate, my additional reinforcement plate, the seal plate, and then after the bearing will be the retaining ring. I won't have to deal with the brakes anytime I want to take the axle out of it then. Again, I can't recommend anybody else do this. This is not tried and tested. It's just what I'm doing to my car. Not recommended. I think that's all I'm going to put out for this video. I'm going to make a bunch of pieces now, probably over the week, and then we'll be back with you soon. Thanks for watching.